Welcome to BrewTok, the channel where your coffee obsession meets real science, strange truths, and surprising stories. If you're the kind of person who can't start the day without your cup of magic, you're in the right place. Today, we're tackling the big question that's been brewing for decades. Is coffee actually good for you, or is it quietly wrecking your health? The truth may surprise you, and by the end, you'll never sip the same again. Don't forget to subscribe, because this rabbit hole of beans is deeper than it looks. 25 billion cups of coffee are consumed every day around the world. It's not just a beverage, it's a ritual, a reward, a lifeline. From small farms in Colombia to espresso bars in Tokyo, from rainy mornings in Seattle to dessert cafes in the Middle East, coffee is a universal language. It wakes us up, brings us together, and sometimes it's the only thing standing between us and a complete meltdown. But why? Why has coffee become the most socially accepted psychoactive substance on Earth? In Italy, it's a standing espresso at the bar. In Sweden, it's fika, a slow moment of coffee and connection. It's fuel, hustle juice. Coffee adapts to the culture it lives in, like a liquid chameleon with a bold aroma. Brain, it's also chemical. Inside every sip is a molecule with serious power. Caffeine. Caffeine stimulates the central nervous system, blocks the brain's sleepy adenosine receptors, and creates a temporary sense of alertness, focus, and energy. It's not a placebo, it's neurochemistry. But that boost comes with questions, and that's what this video is about. So what's true? What's hype? And what does your body say about all this? Let's break it down. When you take that first sip of coffee in the morning, you're not just drinking a warm, comforting liquid. You're ingesting a potent chemical cocktail of compounds that affect your brain, your body, and yes, even your mood. Let's decode the liquid in your mug. Caffeine is the most well-known active ingredient in coffee. It's a natural stimulant found in over 60 plant species, and it's the reason you feel more awake after your first few gulps. Here's what caffeine does. Blocks adenosine, the brain chemical that makes you feel tired. Increases dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. Boosts adrenaline, giving you a slight fight-or-flight edge. The result? You feel more alert, more focused, and sometimes a little invincible. But caffeine isn't just a brain-boosting superpower, it's also highly individual. Some people metabolize it quickly. Others feel jittery after half a cup. Genetics, liver enzymes, and even your gut bacteria can influence how your body reacts. Most people don't realize this, but coffee is the #1 source of antioxidants in the Western diet. Yep, more than blueberries, kale, or green tea. Coffee contains polyphenols like chlorogenic acid, caffeine, melanoidins. These help fight inflammation, protect your cells from oxidative stress, support your immune system. In fact, regular coffee consumption has been linked to a lower risk of diseases like type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, certain cancers, and even depression. But remember, correlation is not causation. Drinking coffee is often associated with certain lifestyles, like regular routines, social connection, and working habits that may also improve health. Still, the science is encouraging. Coffee also contains acidic compounds and oils that can irritate your stomach, especially if you're drinking it on an empty stomach or you're prone to acid reflux. The natural oils in coffee, mainly caffeine and kawiol, are also linked to a mild increase in cholesterol, especially in unfiltered coffee like French press or Turkish coffee. So while these aren't dangerous for most people, those with sensitive stomachs, acid reflux, or cholesterol issues may want to adjust how and when they drink their brew. Let's be honest, most people aren't drinking black coffee. They're sipping on syrupy lattes, whipped cream-topped mochas, artificially flavored coffee drinks. That's not the coffee that's good for your brain or body. It's dessert in disguise. A typical flavored coffee drink can pack 300 to 500 calories, up to 12 teaspoons of sugar, artificial flavors, syrups, and emulsifiers. So if you're wondering why coffee sometimes feels unhealthy, check the ingredients you're adding. Now that we know what's in your coffee, let's talk about what it's doing to your body, both short-term and long-term. Coffee isn't just a crutch for sleepy mornings. When used mindfully, it becomes a powerful tool, one that supports the body, sharpens the mind, and even adds years to your life. Let's look at what science says about coffee's surprising benefits. You already know that coffee helps you feel awake, but why does it work so well? Here's what happens in your brain after a cup. Adenosine is blocked, reducing fatigue. Dopamine and norepinephrine levels increase, boosting mood and focus. Reaction times improve. Memory becomes sharper. Attention and concentration peak. That's why students, coders, writers, and even surgeons often turn to coffee before intense tasks. Coffee helps unlock flow, that zone of deep, clear mental performance. But again, dosage matters. Too much, and you'll tip into jittery, anxious, or distracted. Contrary to old-school beliefs, coffee does not increase the risk of heart disease for most people. In fact, moderate coffee consumption, 3-5 cups a day, has been linked to lower risk of stroke, improved vascular function, reduced inflammation markers, better cholesterol ratios, especially if filtered. The key: moderation. And filtered coffee is best if you're managing cholesterol. Coffee is associated with a reduced risk of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. How? It protects neurons from oxidative stress. It reduces the buildup of harmful proteins like beta amyloid. It boosts neurotransmitters that regulate mood and cognition. In long-term studies, regular coffee drinkers had up to a 65% lower risk of Alzheimer's. That's not magic, it's biology, supported by real-world data. Before a workout, a cup of coffee isn't just a pick-me-up, it's liquid performance fuel. Caffeine increases adrenaline, mobilizes fatty acids from fat tissues, enhances endurance and strength. That's why coffee is one of the most common pre-workout supplements. It's natural, legal, and when taken 30-60 minutes before exercise, it can boost performance by up to 12%. Coffee and mood are deeply connected. Several studies show people who drink coffee have a lower risk of depression. Daily coffee consumption is linked to a lower risk of suicide. Coffee enhances dopamine production, giving a sense of well-being. It's not a cure, but for many, coffee offers an emotional lift, a ritual of hope, clarity, and calm. This one's wild. Multiple large-scale studies show that coffee drinkers tend to live longer, even when controlling for other lifestyle factors. In one study of over 500,000 people, coffee drinkers had a 10–15% lower risk of death from any cause. Even decaf drinkers showed benefits, suggesting it's not just the caffeine. Why? Likely a mix of antioxidants, anti-inflammatory effects, and metabolic benefits. Coffee, in its pure form, protects cells, supports organs, and reduces disease risk across the board. But it's not all good news. As powerful as coffee is, it has a dark roast side. And no, we're not just talking about the jitters. When abused, coffee can quietly erode your sleep, hormones, gut, anxiety levels, and even heart rhythm. But here's the kicker. Most people don't realize it's happening until the damage is done. Let's explore what can go wrong when your relationship with coffee is unbalanced. You might fall asleep fine, but your deep sleep is disrupted. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 7 hours. That means if you drink a cup at 3 p.m., Half of that caffeine is still in your system at 9 or 10 p.m. Here's what the research shows. Just 100 mg of caffeine, one small cup, in the afternoon can reduce deep sleep by 20–30%. Even if you feel like you slept, your body and brain didn't recover properly. Over time, this leads to fatigue, irritability, and burnout, which ironically makes you drink more coffee. It's a vicious cycle. Tired right arrow coffee, right arrow bad sleep. More tired right arrow, more coffee. Caffeine activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. That's great if you're running from a tiger. Not so great if you're sitting in a Zoom meeting. Symptoms include racing thoughts, palpitations, tight chest, sweaty palms, feeling overwhelmed by minor things. If you already struggle with anxiety or stress, coffee can amplify it to unhealthy levels. Some even mistake caffeine-induced symptoms for heart attacks. While some love coffee's bowel-stimulating effects, others aren't so lucky. Coffee can increase stomach acid, leading to reflux or heartburn, irritate the intestinal lining, trigger IBS symptoms, especially with added sugar or milk. And if you rely on coffee for regular bowel movements, that's a dependency, not a healthy gut rhythm. Caffeine can raise blood pressure, especially in people who don't metabolize it well. In sensitive individuals, it may cause arrhythmias, irregular heartbeat, palpitations, shortness of breath, dizziness. That's why some doctors recommend limiting coffee before surgery, or if you have existing cardiovascular conditions. For some women, coffee can interfere with estrogen balance, cortisol regulation, menstrual cycles, sleep, which indirectly affects hormones. Coffee also affects iron absorption, which is crucial for women during menstruation and pregnancy. If you're low in iron, drinking coffee right after meals can make it worse. If skipping your morning coffee leaves you feeling irritable, headachy, exhausted, unmotivated, you're not alone. That's caffeine withdrawal. It's not just psychological. Studies show caffeine withdrawal reduces cerebral blood flow, alters dopamine levels, impacts mood and alertness. Withdrawal peaks around 24–48 hours and can last up to a week. That's why many people never stop. They fear the crash more than they love the boost. But here's the big picture. Coffee isn't good or bad in itself. It's about your relationship with it. Let's be real. We're not here to cancel coffee. We're here to rethink it, to stop treating it as a crutch and start using it as a tool. Because when you shift your mindset from addiction to intention, coffee becomes a choice, not a chain. So how do you build a relationship with coffee that works for you, not against you? This one habit can change everything. Most people roll out of bed and head straight for the coffee machine. But here's the problem. Your body naturally releases cortisol, the alertness hormone, in the first hour after waking. If you drink coffee during this spike, your body becomes less sensitive to caffeine over time. You build tolerance faster and get less benefit. Better strategy: wait 60–90 minutes after waking before drinking coffee. Let your natural energy peak first. Some people process caffeine in 2 hours. Others take 10 hours or more. It's all about your CYP1A2 gene. If you're a slow metabolizer, caffeine lingers in your system longer. You're more likely to experience anxiety, insomnia, and blood pressure spikes. You can take a simple DNA test, like 23andMe, to find out your caffeine sensitivity. Until then, if you feel weird from small amounts, assume you're slow and time your coffee accordingly. Want to sleep better? You must time your last cup. General rule: no caffeine after 2 p.m. Sensitive people: no caffeine after 12 p.m. Remember, caffeine has a long half-life, and even a small dose can ruin your deep sleep without you noticing. Better sleep equals better mornings equals less need for coffee. If coffee gives you jitters or anxiety, try this. A pinch of sea salt helps replenish electrolytes and blunts the cortisol spike. A dash of cinnamon can balance blood sugar and improve flavor naturally. Both are small tweaks that make coffee smoother on your nervous system, without needing sugary creamers or processed syrups. This is one of the most common mistakes. Drinking coffee before breakfast spikes cortisol and adrenaline, causes blood sugar crashes, triggers nausea, jitters, or stomach pain. Eat something small first, even a banana, yogurt, or handful of nuts. Fuel your body before you fuel your brain. If you rely on coffee every day just to function, it might be time for a reset. Try 7 days without caffeine. You'll probably feel awful for the first 3-4 days. Headaches, brain fog, low motivation, but on the other side, you'll sleep deeper, think more clearly, rebalance your natural dopamine and cortisol. And when you return to coffee, it will work again like magic. You don't have to quit forever. Just reset the relationship. Want to avoid tolerance buildup? Use caffeine strategically, not constantly. Example, 5 days on, 2 days off. Or only on work days, none on weekends. Or switch to matcha or tea for lighter stimulation. This keeps your body sensitive to caffeine's benefits and prevents dependence. A healthy coffee relationship is intentional, not habitual. It's not about being perfect. It's about knowing why you're reaching for that cup and making that decision consciously. In the final chapter, we'll answer the big question. So, is coffee good or bad for you, really? It's the question we've been circling since the start, and now we're finally ready to answer it. So, is coffee good or bad for you? Well, here's the truth. Coffee is neither hero nor villain. It's a tool. A very powerful, very personal tool. And whether it builds you or breaks you depends entirely on how you use it. When coffee is good for you, you use it intentionally, not automatically. You know your limits and timing. You support it with hydration, food, and sleep. You cycle or reset it when needed. You enjoy it, not need it to function. In this version, coffee becomes a performance enhancer. It boosts focus, elevates mood, enhances workouts. It fits into your life, not around it. When coffee is bad for you, you use it to mask exhaustion or stress. You drink it on an empty stomach, multiple times per day. You rely on it for basic energy and feel awful without it. You can't sleep, but you still drink it after 2 p.m. You feel anxious, jittery, irritable, or have gut issues. Here, coffee isn't a partner, it's a bandage. And bandages don't heal. They only hide the wound. The real question is, what is your coffee hiding? Because often, coffee fills in the cracks left by poor sleep, overwork, burnout, dehydration, skipped meals, or even emotional numbness. It props up a version of you that might need rest or change, not just more stimulation. Coffee isn't a problem, but it can be so what should you do? Here's what I recommend. Check your relationship with coffee. Is it love, habit, or dependency? Run an experiment. Try 7 days without it, just to see. Reintroduce it with awareness. Choose it, don't let it choose you. Tailor it to your life. Find your ideal timing, dose, and style. Use it to thrive, not to survive. Coffee is one of the world's most beloved rituals. It brings people together, sparks ideas, inspires poetry and productivity. It's rich, complex, and full of surprises, just like you. So no, coffee isn't good or bad, but your relationship with it, that can change everything. And if this helped shift your perspective, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more honest, human, science-backed stories about everyday things that shape your life. This is BrewTok, where curiosity meets coffee. A hot studio. See you in the next one. Stay curious, stay kind, and stay grounded.